I read about a really interesting piece of news the other day. It was a McDonald's branch somewhere in America that was charging $18 for a Big Mac meal. Think about that. $18 for a Big Mac meal. That's just a burger, fries, and a drink. If you wanted to feed a family of 5 on that, I'm not saying that you should, that would cost around about $100. That's crazy. And whilst we can say that's not an option that people should be taking, think about what this means. McDonald's, a place renowned for its cheap and happy food, is now almost unaffordable for a family to eat at. And yes, we shouldn't eat at McDonald's every day, and it is an expensive place compared to eating at home. But that's not the point. As much as we can make those kind of arguments, it overlooks one massive point. The price of things is getting crazy. This is only one example, and the average price of a McDonald's in the US, I believe even for a Big Mac meal, is just under $10, I think it is, so not too bad. But even then, that's still not cheap, and the McDonald's is just one prominent example that I just wanted to point out. It doesn't matter where in the markets you look, houses, stocks, other parts of the market, everywhere you want to look, there is this level of asset inflation. Things have been going up and up and up and up. And the problem with this is it prices out the average person, and it also creates a monopoly from those who have versus those who do not. Like, think about it. Those who already have money can benefit from the rise of assets, whilst those who do not have these assets or do not have the money to buy these assets are just going to get left in the dust. And we're seeing this and how this plays out as time goes on. The average person now cannot work one job, have a wife who lives at home, have 2 cars and go on a holiday every year. It's 2 parents working to make ends meet for their kids. And this is the way that things are for most people. But what is the solution? How do we get past this? Now, this is a very complicated issue, and even people who have side hustles now are struggling to get by. It's a real tough world. Now, if you're watching this channel for the first time, you will not know, but if you've been watching for some time, you will be aware of the fact that I like to talk on this channel very much about making your own path, about trying for yourself and going on your own journey when it comes to success. We've spoken about all different sorts of businesses that I've tried, that we've tried collectively, and how they've played out. Some have worked, some have not. Some have made a lot of money, some have not. But this is the way that we have to operate, because to bring it all together, whilst the price of a lot of things is becoming extortionate for some are making more money than ever, which means that even with the price of assets rising, they can afford to offset it because they make so much money. So how do we get into that boat? I think what we must acknowledge is that the world of those who have money is not actually dissimilar to where we are. The things that make their money grow are things that we often have accessibility to. We all know how to invest in the stock market, or have the ability to at least, and can learn. That's what rich people do. Sure, we don't have the same amount of capital to put in, but we can invest in the same way to make our money grow. Now, there's other things that we can't do. We can't invest in fancy art pieces really, because we just don't have the money to buy any of significant value. But we can invest in many of the same ways as the richest people in the world, and most people simply do not invest. Like, how many people in the adult population that you know actually invest their money into assets that can help them to grow? But the problem with investing is it takes money to invest. And if you probably don't even have enough money to make ends meet, how are you going to save up £1,000 a month, say, or $1,000 to put away to invest in the stock market? It's just not going to happen. That's why I think it's about taking advantage of the new opportunities that have arisen. See, I hear people say all the time about the fact that people who work 40 hours a week don't have enough money to make ends meet, and that is true, and that is very unfortunate. But it's also about acknowledging that the times have changed for a lot of people. A lot of people can't work in the same jobs anymore and get paid a relatively fair salary. Just look at the statistics. Look, since the 70s and 80s, how much productivity has risen. Productivity has gone like that. It's been going up and up and up over the years. Pay has increased barely anything. People do more and get paid less. But the problem is, many jobs are now threatened by AI. Especially if you work in some sort of an office job. What can a computer, in 10 years at least, not do better? Even now, AI can edit my videos a lot better than I can. It's crazy to even see. But with this, a new threat arises. Not the threat of not being able to make ends meet, the threat of not having a job. So then what do we move on to? We could make the argument for universal basic income where people get paid just for living. I think that is possibly a way of going about things. Otherwise, it's going to be a few who have everything and the rest of us have absolutely nothing. But there is a new solution. Like I said a second ago, take advantage of the opportunities that we have now. We have things that have never existed before. We have the internet. You can watch a video which will make you aware of this stuff actually happening. That's a skill and that's an asset. You can make money on the internet. I have made countless videos, you can watch them through if you wish, where we make money online. We don't leave the house, we do it all here from the 2 computers that you see behind, and it's very easy to do. This is what we're going to have to do going forwards, because the old system is clearly broken. If a family can work, 80 hours a week, let's say between 2 people, so 40 each, and still not get by, the system's not working. People aren't being paid fairly. But it doesn't mean that opportunities are not there. If I was looking to break out of this trap, I genuinely would be looking into, right, what skills can I leverage? The whole side hustle concept isn't going to be enough. It's about making a significant amount more. Not just making enough to make ends meet. In my opinion, with the way that things are going, house prices being 2, 3, 4, 100k in the UK for example, that's not obtainable to somebody with a normal job. So it's about trying to obtain as much capital as you can, really just to get your foot in the door, then start investing that and start scaling that. Now I know the way that I'm going off in this video is kind of morphing 2 separate topics together, but it is something that I saw and it's not the first thing that's made me think it. I don't need to read some article from the US to know that prices are out of whack. Just go shopping. Anybody that does this knows. You look at the price of the milk, the price of the bread, the price of the eggs, and it's like, why is it so high? Now, a lot of these factors are outside of our personal control. I can't tell the farmer or the shop to put the price of the milk or the eggs down. That just won't happen. But what I can do is work on trying to get myself in a position where this will not be a problem. Now I know this sounds like a very complicated way of going about it, and it is. But we must acknowledge that times aren't the same anymore. And there's a few people who have discovered these secrets, who are making more than most. In my opinion, being an earlier acknowledger of this fact will give you a higher advantage before other people start to move into this. And it's true, not everybody has the capability to run their own business, and that is unfortunate. But if you do have that motivation, which I assume that you do if you're watching a video like this, it might be time to think about doing something like that. As with the way that things are going, it's not going to be easy for people in the next, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. I've shown my results from my eBay business, for example, on this channel, alongside others, successful and failures, but like on some other businesses like eBay, where we've made thousands of pounds in a week, in a month, or even sometimes in a day, that's what it's kind of about nowadays. I do this obviously because I enjoy it, obviously because it's fun for me, but think about it. That business is easier than working a 9 to 5, and when I compile that onto other businesses, if you were to work a 40-hour week for yourself, running different shops, running different businesses like this YouTube channel for example, and others that we talk about on this channel, you could actually get free from this. That is a true escape, I believe. Because at the minute, that is the big problem for most people. It's not worrying about, setting up their household and having enough money for a mortgage. That's out of the reach at the minute. Most people don't even have that on the table because they're too busy struggling to get by. I think the first step that is really the break-free point is getting the money, accumulating the finances to not be in that boat anymore. How many people in this country, in the US, in other first world countries, how many of these people don't have enough money to survive month to month? They live paycheck to paycheck, they don't have money in case anything goes wrong. Then what happens? You're always at the mercy of somebody else, because if you get sacked, if you get fired, what happens then? You don't have any money saved up, you're in trouble, and then you're in debt, and you can't pay off that debt because the interest rate's so high. It is kind of all a trap, or it does at least seem to be, but it doesn't have to be that way. So in this video, I'm not going to speak about which specific business to start, but I have a full catalogue on it if you want to see it, and I want to make these videos more and more. But if you're watching this video, you must be aware, like, the starting entry point for this video was very important. Yes, we only talk about a McDonald's meal here, but think about that. A McDonald's meal, something which is, is basically a staple of eating out. $18. That's not cheap. It's expensive. And that's a luxury, you know. This is something which we often took for granted before. And yes, that is again a first world luxury in itself, but the point is still there. Everything's rising, and our quality of life, well, the quality of life for most, will be getting worse. But it doesn't have to be the case. Your productivity is higher than ever statistically. You can do better, but how do you do this? It's about starting on that side business, maybe that side hustle, saving that money to invest it into a new business, rolling that into a new business until you hopefully have enough money to earn a substantial amount on top of your income. And in my experience, when you have just enough or a bit to survive on, to be comfortable on, you don't really have to worry anymore about these really minuscule problems of, you know, a £100 issue pops up. It's like, that's not good. But if you have a couple of thousand or a couple of tens of thousands, that wouldn't be such a problem. So if you want to subscribe to this channel, please do. We talk about all sorts of business stuff on this channel and the way that things are going, but this video was inspired by a really stark piece that I saw. I was quite astonished by it, but it is unfortunately the way that things are now. The price of houses is more astonishing. The price of food generally isn't too great. Everything is going up. So what do we do about it? Well, we're going to speak more about this in the channel in the future, but thank you for watching this episode. I hope that you'll join us in our next one for more on this topic. Thank you, and see you soon. Goodbye.